brand new t-shirts that I got in Romania on a research trip that I took last year, and I just thought I would show it to you. Look at that! How cool is that? So, in case you don't know, that in the middle there is Vlad Tepes, aka Vlad the Impaler, aka a sort of national hero in Romania, and also one source of inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula. So it's really interesting because everywhere that you go in Romania, there are shops selling these t-shirts with vampires and bats, and basically just kind of trying to cash in on the Dracula, the kind of Dracula legend and the Dracula theme, because it's basically all that kind of tourists know about when they go to Romania. Um, even though, even though Bram Stoker never even visited Romania. He did not. He basically just saw a picture of a Romanian castle, of a Transylvanian castle in a book, and he thought, oh, well, that looks kind of dark and spooky and like the kind of place where a vampire would hang out, so I'm going to set my book there. And yeah, and so that's why it's kind of why people go to Romania. And then you learn all about Vlad and what he was kind of doing. Basically, Romania is like this kind of stomping ground where different armies would go through. The Ottomans and the Habsburgs would go through, and kind of try and take over the other ones. So it was just always this like battlefield, and everyone was trying to take it because it was like the footpath to get to the promised land, whatever promised land you were thinking about. And Vlad was a big part of kind of trying to hold back those hordes. So he was really cool. Yeah, so I went to Romania and it was amazing. And you're going to be, if you are a fan of my books, you are going to be reading all about the things I saw in upcoming series. So, but yes, the t-shirts. My little wee goth heart was just so happy about all these amazing kind of gothy vampy t-shirts. And you better believe that I bought so many t-shirts. Anyway, this is not a video about goth t-shirts or about Vlad the Impaler. It is about writing books in the series and why that is awesome. So, you might have noticed, if you follow my fiction books, that everything I write is in the series, and I would just I've got some examples. So this is a popular series that I have, which is the Nevermore Bookshop series. So there is book 4, there's book 3, and I don't have any books 2 at the moment, but and there's book 1. So you see they're very obviously part of a series. So yeah, so that's what I do. I write books in a series, and in fact, when I release, more non-fiction books, more books for Rage Against the Manuscript, they're going to be kind of branded as a series as well. Now, there is a reason why I do this. And that reason is because a series of connected books in the same world is so much easier to market for a self-published author than standalone novels. And if you're writing and self-publishing with the goal of being a full-time author, or of making some money off of what you're doing, then it's really important to think about things like this, like about series. When you're in your creative phase and you're actually deciding what project you're going to work on next, or you're working on your book, because it makes your life so much easier when you're ready to publish, and when you're ready to market your books. So why are series so awesome? And why are they awesome in particular for self-published authors? The answer, my friends, is sell-through. Now, what is sell-through? I shall tell you. Basically, readers become invested in the characters and the stakes of book 1 in your series. And a certain percentage of those readers are going to go on to buy book 2 in your series. And then a certain percentage of the readers who finish book 2 are going to go on to buy books 3 and books 4 and so on. So if you use this model, basically if you get enough people to read book 1, even if you lose money marketing book 1, even if you spend more money marketing that first book than you do make back on that first book, then you can still make a profit based on the people who progress through the series. So indie authors like me, because we get up to the minute kind of numbers from Amazon and from Apple and from the other retailers, we can calculate our sell through on a series, and we can see which books perform better than others, or we can see if there's something that is making readers put down a book at a certain place in a series. So when I release a series, I expect to see around 50% sell through to book 2 from book 1. So approximately half the people who read book 1 are going to go on and read book 2. Then I expect to see between 50 and 70% sell through from book 2 to book 3. So of the people who read book 2, approximately 50 to 70% of them are going to go and read book 3. And then from book 3 onward, I expect to see 90 to 95% sell through. So this means that if you're making enough money from each launch in the series, especially once you hit that book 3 plus, then you can basically keep adding as many new books to that series as you like, and you roughly know, sort of more or less, roughly, what you're going to be earning from each of those books when it goes live. If you look at authors like Bella Andres, quite a famous one, contemporary romance author, Bella Forrest, who writes kind of young adult vampires, Jasmine Walt, who's in fantasy, high fantasy, urban fantasy, you'll see that they basically just keep adding books to their popular series as they go. They just, I think Bella Andres up to about 20 in her main series. Bella Forrest is up to something crazy like 85. It's just nuts, but you can keep going. So sell through is much harder on standalone books, and the reason for this is readers have to become invested in a brand new set of characters and a brand new world with every single book. So readers, first and foremost, they are series loyal, basically because they're character loyal or they're world loyal. So they get really excited about one particular character or about the world that you've created. And this is why so many readers will only read the most popular series by an author and not their other works. So, we all know Harry Potter, we all know J.K. Rowling, and even people who call themselves J.K. Rowling fans, not all of them have read her tragicomedy book, The Casual Vacancy. But, so significantly fewer people have read that book than have read the Harry Potter series, even though you might consider yourself a J.K. Rowling fan. So there are other advantages to writing in a series. Sales platforms like Amazon and like Apple and like Kobo, they help to promote your series by making sure that readers are alerted to the fact that a new book's coming out, or the fact that the books are actually in the series and that the other books in the series are coming out. So they do that on the page, on the sales page on their platform, and then they may also have, like Amazon has dedicated series pages. So you can also, another thing you can do is you can bundle books in a series together, and you can create box sets. And box sets are a really great way to draw in new readers. Box sets are really, basically because you offer them for, give people a little bit of a discount, and then your hardcore readers are going to have read the series already, but the box sets attract people who are looking for a complete series and something new. So they're a really, really great tool. Box sets are really awesome because they command a much higher price point. So you might combine 3 books that usually sell for $3.99 and you put them into a $9.99 box set, and you get significantly higher royalty on $9.99 than you would on $3.99. They only require you to make 1 sale instead of 3 sales. Having a series also makes it really easy to kind of establish your author brand, because the series title and if you've got cohesive covers, it really quickly establishes you as a certain type of author. Series work extremely well for fiction, but they're also really, really, really great for non-fiction, and they even work for things like poetry. There are many different types of series that you could try. In my book, How to Rock Self-Publishing, I have an entire chapter dedicated to series and the different types of series that you can write and how you can market them. And my online course, which is called How to Rock Self-Publishing, the course, I break it down even further. I show you exactly how to rock a series, no matter what genre you're writing. So for now, let's go to the actual topic of the video, and let's talk about the most common mistakes authors make when they write or promote a series. So mistake number 1, continuity errors. In one book, the hero has blue eyes, and then in another book, they switch to green. This is one of the biggest issues for authors of series, especially in fiction. It becomes very difficult to juggle all these little tiny facts and little things that certain characters know and other characters don't, and all those little details. It becomes very hard to juggle them. The only way to beat continuity errors is to keep a series Bible, which is a document or a folder where you write down all these little things as you think of them so that you can refer back to them. I discuss series Bibles in depth in my self-publishing course. Another way that you can find these continuity errors is to get really awesome beta readers who will pick up on these errors. My wonderful husband, I call him CDH, or the Cantankerous Drummer Husband. So the Cantankerous Drummer Husband, he is my beta reader, and he's really great at spotting these kind of errors. I also recommend reading back through previous books when you are working on a series. So, for example, right now I'm writing book 5 in my Nevermore Bookshop series. So I am going back and rereading books 1 to 4 to kind of find all those little niggly things that I might have forgotten about that I kind of did, and it's going to make book 5 much stronger. Another thing is that when you're proofing your audiobook, you will often find little details that you've forgotten that you missed, or little errors. And it's kind of unfortunate because at the time that you're proofing an audiobook, it's probably too late to fix the errors before the book, because the book is probably already being launched. But the really great thing about being an indie author and self-publishing through platforms like Amazon KDP and Kobo Writing Life is that if you want to upload a new file and fix some little niggly errors or some typos, all you've got to do is upload a new file, and 75 hours later, more or less, it's going to be live. That's not going to fix it for anyone who already has the book, but it will for future readers. So yeah, continuity errors, that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is unanswered questions. This is where you dangle little plot bunnies, such as a character's shady past, or a possible relationship between two characters, or some kind of little mystery, and then you just forget about it. You just forget to follow it up. It ends up being a kind of Chekhov's gun situation. So have you heard Chekhov's gun, the expression Chekhov's gun? It's a dramatic principle that was recorded in letters written by the playwright Anton Chekhov. Here's a quote from one of the letters. Chekhov says, "Remove anything that has no relevance to the story. If you say in the first chapter that there is a rifle hanging on the wall, in the second or third chapter, that rifle absolutely must go off. If it's not going to be fired, it shouldn't be hanging there." So, if this is you, don't drop details like loaded rifles into your story and then forget about them. This is another area where having that series Bible and having those beta readers look at your work is so important. Mistake number 3 is changing voice, theme, or genre in the middle of a series. If your series starts off as a serious science fiction book, it's going to be a little bit weird if it then dissolves into kind of slapstick comedy. If readers think that they're reading a mystery, they're going to be really miffed if by book 3 the mystery is solved and they discover they're actually reading an erotic romance. So if the tone or the voice of your book changes dramatically, if the main character suddenly dies and then readers have to jump into someone else's point of view, if the first book starts off as young adult and then the series moves to adult, then these are all reasons why readers are going to lose interest in the series. They're going to put the books down. That's the first 3 mistakes. So the next 3 mistakes are sort of more publishing mistakes than writing mistakes. So mistake number 4 is keeping the series going too long. So how long is too long for a series? And the answer to this is not a number of books or a timeline. The answer is a series is going too long when it stops being worthwhile writing the next book. So what that means will vastly depend on your goals as a writer and on the measure of success that you've set for yourself. The first book in a new series will always be your most profitable because every single reader that reads that series has to read that first book. At some point, whether it's book 5 or book 15 or book 55, you're going to get to a point where it's more sensible for you, more profitable for you to publish a new book in a new series than it is to continue with a long series. Also, it's about what you enjoy writing. So if a series is still, you're still having a complete blast writing a series, then keep writing it. Especially if you're in this to enjoy, to enjoy yourself. But if a series isn't fun for you anymore and you want to move on to other things, then eventually that sense that you're over it. Eventually that sense is going to come through in your writing. Absolutely be better off switching to something else that you're really excited about before you alienate your readers, because they will be able to tell. To me, personally, having fun with my writing is the most important principle of my business. It's what I built my entire writing career and my writing business on. And that's because if I was just doing this to earn a living, if I was just doing this to earn money, I wouldn't be a writer. Because the simple fact is that there is hundreds of thousands of easier ways to earn a lot of money than be a writer. If I'm not enjoying myself, if I'm not having so much fun while I'm writing, if I'm not writing stories that really, are really important to me, then I might as well be an investment banker. So why am I doing that? So for me, it's so important that I'm having fun and I'm enjoying what I'm writing. If you're chasing the full-time dream, then if a series isn't profitable, it's good to cut it off as soon as you can and try something else. For this reason, even though I have a rough idea when I start a series how long it's going to be, I don't tend to reveal this to my readers as as a set in stone. If people ask, I'll say, I think the series is going to be 4 books long, or there's definitely going to be a second book, something like that. But I don't give a definite. And the reason I do this is so that I can change my mind. So I had a series that I intended to be 3 books, and I extended it to 4 books. And I've had some series that I hoped would be 10 books long, but I had to cut them down to 3 books or 2 books. After a while, you start to get a feel for when you've reached the end of a series and when you're done and when the readers are done. I really like to make my series flexible from the start so I can extend or decrease the amount of books. This is basically only possible from books 1 to 2 in the series. Like once you're deeper into the series, it can be a lot harder to cut the thing off because you've got so many plot ends to tie up. You've got to make that decision quite early on, and possibly for some series it's too early on, but that still gives you more flexibility than you might otherwise have had. That's mistake number 4. So mistake number 5 is releasing books in a series too far apart. As you learn about self-publishing and successful indie authors, you're going to hear about writers who are publishing a book or more than 1 book every single month. I personally am writing 8 to 10 books a year, but I am full-time. This is a really great technique, this rapid publishing, rapid writing, rapid releasing. It's a great technique to build an audience very quickly, and I definitely advocate learning to write and publish faster. And the more you build those skills, the better off you're going to be. But you absolutely do not need to be publishing a book every single month to be successful. What you should be doing is trying to release books in a series as close together as you possibly can. So readers are going to forget about your books after they finish them. It's a sad truth because, they finish it and then they go and read another book, especially if there's no other books in the series at that point to read. When they reach all the books available to read, they're going to go and read something else and then they might forget about you. So the longer they have to wait for the next book, the more and more of those readers are going to forget about you. And if you usually publish books, if you usually publish books a year apart, see if you can cut that down to 7 months. And if you usually release books 6 months apart, can you do it in 3 months? If you usually do 2 months, can you do 6 weeks? Time and time again, I've seen the stats on my own books. The closer together I release books, the more momentum the series builds, and the higher my read through from book to book. The biggest mistake as an author that you can make, I think, is starting a series and then leaving it dangling while you go off and do other things. This is why I recommend working on one project, one series at a time. Every single time I've deviated from this and I've got off and tried to do lots of different things at once, I always regret it. Yes, so, do as I say, not as I do. Mistake number 6 is not tightly branding. If your readers can't tell that the books that you've published are part of a series, then you lose all of the benefits that we've talked about of the books being in a series. So There's no point you doing all the things that we've talked about if your readers can't tell from a glance that they're looking at a series. That means you've got to make sure that the covers match, that they look like they're part of a series, that your author name looks the same, the typefaces are the same, the style is the same, the colors. You've got to make it clear in the blurbs that this is part of a series. You don't be coy with readers. You actually tell them this is book 2 in this series, or book 4 in this series. You want to make it really clear that readers can expect the same tone, the same characters, the same fun, the romance, the thrills, the chills, the whatever it is you're famous for. You've got to make sure they know that that's what they're going to be getting. And you've got to make readers want them all of the books. So there you have it. Those are 6 common series writing mistakes that self-published authors make. Are you making any of them? Do you want to learn more about how to make a kick-ass self-published book? And do you want to learn more about how to self-publish books in a series really successful, and maybe how to become a full-time author yourself? If so, click on the link below and grab a copy of my book, How to Rock Self-Publishing. Or join up for my course, which is opening in March, How to Rock Self-Publishing, the course. That's all from me. Thanks so much for listening. Happy writing.